Now this is why people predicted the Indiana Fever to be a comfortable playoff team and the 6th or 7th best team in the WNBA. This is why people predicted this. The Indiana Fever are figuring it out. And I'm going to give Christy Side some credit, and I'm also going to just give her not credit for other things, but her actual game planning is pretty good. Her actual game planning is pretty good. If we're being honest, it's pretty good. Some of the stuff in games is crazy. It's crazy how bad it is, but the team is figuring it out. But before we get on to it though, if you guys are new to the channel, subscribe. And we're at 8.8k. Wow. If we can somehow hit 8.9k today, that would be ridiculous. I don't think we're going to. But like if we could somehow hit even 8.85k, I was like, I'm trying to hit 10k by the end of this month. Like if we somehow hit, I went to 8.7k by today. If we can somehow hit higher than that, it's unbelievable. Thank you guys so much for all the support in the channel recently. Like it's actually been crazy. But we're going to keep talking about the Fever. We're going to keep talking about these two incredibly good rookies right here. So, it's not rookies, just players. So the Fever are really figuring it out. As far as just coaching is concerned, Christy Sides' game planning is pretty good. I think she actually, some of her sets are nice. Some of her ways of getting into offenses are really good. And just some of the things she does in general, I really like. The one problem I have with Christy Sides is I think her in-game adjustments are terrible. I think her in-game adjustments are absolutely shocking. They are laughably bad. But at the same time, like, you can afford to have laughably bad in-game adjustments and still be okay against the bad teams, whereas the good teams will adjust and beat you. I still think she's not the right coach. But today was, I thought, like, look, the Mystics shot decently well. They just hang with teams. The Mystics hang with teams. They're like the Sky almost, that they will just hang with teams even though they're 2-13. They're terrible, but they'll hang. Whereas the Fever haven't really been able to hang with teams. They either beat them or lose. We're up the whole game or lose. I can't remember the Fever ever coming back in a game. They haven't made a comeback to win once this year. But, like, this was the best I've seen them play. And it wasn't just about the shooting percentages. Like, Kelsey Mitchell, Aaliyah Boston shot ridiculously high percentages. And that is straight up, like, a big reason why they won the game. But I really like the way they now have an identity. They have an identity and a, like, hierarchy of, like, okay, how we play. And this is, by the way, when Erica Wheeler's off the floor. When Erica Wheeler's on the floor, this is a different story. Erica Wheeler dominates the ball when she's on the floor. And when she's on the floor, the team looks garbage. But they have a hierarchy. It's like, look, we're running through Caitlin. And I don't understand, like, people saying they're looking better because they're running through Aaliyah Boston. What basketball are you watching? They're running still everything through Caitlin Clark. Like, everything is going through their point guard. They literally have a first option is Caitlin gets something. Second option, Caitlin gets the ball into Aaliyah Boston. Aaliyah Boston goes. Third option, if Aaliyah Boston can't get anything, she either tries to find Kelsey Mitchell or Alyssa Smith. And then sometimes if Kelsey Mitchell gets to push it, she'll go Julian Newman on them and score sometimes. But what I like about the way they're playing right now is Kelsey Mitchell has the ball less and Alyssa Smith has the ball less. People are like, oh, but like Caitlin Clark's usage rate is down. Yeah, because sometimes it's been stupidly high and sometimes it's been stupidly low. But the more the ball is in the hands of Caitlin Clark and Aaliyah Boston, the better. The more the ball is in their hands, the better. Because Alyssa Smith and Kelsey Mitchell are like, Alyssa Smith finishes plays and they're both bailout options. You can give either of them the ball and just go get us a bucket. They're two guys where you're like, go get us a bucket. Whereas Aaliyah Boston, I know sometimes she can back down. And she did that better today than ever. Like, she just was like, was it Colson even trying to guard her? She was like, nah, I'm playing bully ball, which I really, really liked. But Caitlin Clark is now getting better at finding Aaliyah Boston. Aaliyah Boston is getting better at catching her passes, which is really good for the Indiana Fever. She's getting better at catching some of the bullets that are being thrown at her. And all in all, I'm really, I think that big four is a big four that you can build around. I really do. Like, I don't know what you would look for in free agency. I would still look, if you can get like a legitimately good free agent, I would get off Kelsey Mitchell. I would keep NaLyssa Smith. Do not put NaLyssa Smith in that expansion draft, even if she wants to be. And I don't care how much Dejanay Carrington hates Caitlin Clark. I don't think, as far as I'm aware, the way the contracts work, I don't think the Connecticut Sun can give her a max. She's a free agent this year. NaLyssa Smith is on a max contract. If you can get Dejanay Carrington into that team, if you can get Carrington into that team and just a competent shooter, just a competent shooter that can play a bit of defense. Like Katie Lou can really shoot the ball, not a very good defender. If you can just get any sort of 3-and-D player, they don't have to be an exceptional defender, but if you can go Clark, or heck, even if you I don't think you can afford to keep Mitchell and bring Carrington in. You know, actually you can, sorry. You can, because Erica Wheeler's gone. You can keep Mitchell. Because she's just this live wire spark plug who'll just go and get you buckets. I think she's fine to keep, but it's like, just don't let anything run through Mitchell. Don't let Mitchell go GOYs on him. Just keep the ball as much as possible out of Kelsey Mitchell's hands. Like, that is the best thing. Like, when Kelsey Mitchell, just get it to her with 8 seconds to go on the shot clock, get the ball to Kelsey Mitchell. When you're stuck, let her do hers when you're stuck, but like, don't let her dribble the shot clock out. But she is a good player. Like, even if you keep Mitchell, adding a Carrington to that team. And look, NaLyssa Smith might be able to put in a good word. Like, she might be able to recruit. Like, that is what the team needs. If you can add Dejanay Carrington to the players they already have, they are a top 7 team. And you keep Tammy off the bench? Oh, that team is ridiculous. That team has so much talent. They're like a legit big 4. They have a 4 that any of the 4 can give you 20 on any given night. And it's just work on the bench. Like, Katie Lou's fine to keep off the bench. Get Erica Wheeler as far away from Indiana as possible. Get Christy Wallace as far away from Indiana as possible. And then you can keep Lexi Hull. Get Temi as a big off the bench. I think you need to at least give Celeste Taylor a chance just because of her defense, because I think that she can make an impact with her defense and her running. And then, like, you keep Katie Lou, you keep Lexi Hull, you have Temi, you have Celeste. That's a 9-man rotation, or it's a 9-woman rotation. And then you just try to get someone on the bench, whoever you get in the draft. Like, you're probably going to get the 5th or 6th pick in the draft. It's likely to be a guard in next year's draft. But there's bound to be a forward in their senior year that is like rubbing their hands, being like, cool. I think, is it Kiki or something, who's like a guaranteed number 2 pick after Paige, barring injuries. It's like, just any forward that looks pretty good could come in and hopefully do something with the likelihood of the Fever making the playoffs and them not getting a lottery pick. And the funny thing is, if Fever don't make the playoffs, we're the favorites for the 1 pick. Either way, this is a team that you're like, are really starting to figure it out. They're getting better every single time that I watch them play. And they actually have almost an identity. They don't, for people asking who the best player on the team is, the crazy thing about this is that any given night, it can be any of them. It can be any of those 4, any given night. Any given night, it can be any of those 4. And when Temi comes back, it can probably be Temi on any given night. And that's the big thing about this team, is that they have depth. They have a lot of depth, and they don't have much defensive depth, but they have a lot of offensive depth. Whereas if you look at the other bad teams in the WNBA, you look at the Mystics, where you've got Dolson, you've got Atkins, and you've got Edwards. Edwards is a rookie, a bit inconsistent. Atkins, like, again, when Sykes comes back, like, when their players come back, they're a completely different team. But you've got that for the Mystics. And then you've got someone like Atkins, who, if they're having a good day, they can keep you in a game. If they're having a bad day, you might struggle. Like Carly Samuelson, they need Carly Samuelson to have an elite game today to stay in that game. Van Loo is just a solid point guard, a really solid point guard, but like, look, not going to carry a team. And then, so they're the worst team. Second worst team is the Dallas Wings. Look, they've just been hit by the injury bug. They're one of the 4 best teams in the WNBA. The problem is that Howard's injured, Arike's injured, Sabley's injured, and Seegers is injured. So their whole team is injured. So they're just the worst. Like, they might put out tomorrow the worst team in the history of the WNBA. Like, JC Sheldon might suddenly be their number 1 option. Like, it's gone that crazy. The Sky have no defensive or have no offensive talent other than Kennedy Carter and Breanna Stewart. Like, they've got nobody that can do anything on offense or create anything other than those two. I don't rate Dana Evans at all. Angel Reese is a player who lives off scraps and can give you 20 in any given game, can give you 10 most games just because of her hustle, but doesn't have a refined offensive game yet. Cardoso just finishes around the basket. You have to get her the ball first. And then who else is there? The Sparks. Hamby's pretty good. They got some shooters. Don't have much on the ball creation for that team. And as good as Rickea Jackson is, I think she's someone who's like, we look down the line as one of the better players in the WNBA. I don't think it's she's someone who we're looking at to be like one of the best players right now. And yeah, you've also got, and then it's them. So of all the bad teams, and the Dream like are pretty decent. They got Ryan Howard, but I think the Fever are better than the Dream. So I think they're the 6th best team in the league, or the 7th best team in the league. And that is crazy considering how bad this team were. Like, 2 weeks ago, I was like, this is the worst team I've ever seen. They're on a 3-game win streak. They're on a 4-game home win streak. They've won 5 and 7. This is a team now that is looking levels above these bad teams. They're looking levels above. Like, I know they've been shut down by the Liberty and the Connecticut Sun. When they play the bad teams, the teams in and around them, they look levels above. Like, they look like they are the team. Like, if you were to just watch them play against the Mystics, the Sky, the Dream, who are in and around them, they look like they're just better. They just look like they're better. At the same time, when they face a better team than them, they crumble. But at the end of the day, they're a young team. They're going to get better. And it's now looking like, okay, Caitlin Clark's figuring out how she can be most effective on this team and still go and get hers. Aaliyah Boston is figuring it out and getting back into shape, which is so important. She's getting back into shape. Her confidence is back. It's so important. And Alyssa Smith is figuring out what she can do because she had almost played her way out of the rotation at the start of the year. Kelsey Mitchell is figuring out how she can best fit this team. To be fair, Kelsey Mitchell is just getting the ball. I want to score. ISO. Dribble. Step back. That's good. Or miss. Like, Kelsey Mitchell is just wild. You take the good with the bad with Kelsey Mitchell. And the problem is that outside of the big four, they're not good. Like, I think that big four is as good as any team outside of, as far as like talent level. I know the Sun are a better team, but I don't think the Sun are like this excess, like unbelievable talent level, other than a healthy Aces, a Liberty, and a Mercury. I think they're the 3 teams that have like a better big four, that would have like 4 better players, their best 4 being better than the best 4 of the Fever. It's just everything else around them's terrible. It really is. Other than Tammy's pretty good. Hull is not terrible, but like Wallace sucks. Wheeler absolutely sucks. Katie Lou's fine, but she's a fine ninth woman. Like, that's kind of where her role is right now. She shoots. That's really it. But yeah, they're doing way better than I thought they were going to do.